Welcome to The Fight on Matrix Midwest with Randy Carricker and company.
Hi kids, welcome to the program. Great to have you with us. That is the birthday boy, Andrew Rogers.
Hey, thank
Happy birthday, brother.
I appreciate you.
And I'm Randy, and coming up, we've got quite a show for you. The Olympics are coming back to St. Louis, just like 1904. Well, maybe not, but they'll be here. We'll have how dramatically different the Cardinals are going to look, and we have the fight coming up. I'll try to protect my winning streak of 19 in a row.
19 was what we're going for, is 19.
Yeah, but we'll get things started with our quick hits. And St. Louis City SC's Energizer Park will host soccer tournament games in 2028 for the Olympics. St. Louis will host group stage and knockout matches leading up to the gold medal games in Los Angeles at the Rose Bowl. St. Louis City SC CEO Carolyn Kindle released a statement on the announcement saying, quote, "Our vision was always to build a stadium worthy of hosting the world's most popular game at the highest level. This selection reflects our best-in-class stadium, the strength of our operations, and the passion for soccer that defines St. Louis. Will this be the biggest event St. Louis as a city has hosted in the 21st century?" With all due respect, I still think that it's going to be the NFC Championship game after the 2001 NFL season.
Yeah.
That's the biggest sport in America.
Sure, and I'm right there with you. I think when I think of event, I think of something that wasn't supposed to be here. And so, like, the Rams, if they got that far, was supposed to be here. Or if, like, you know, the World Series games for the Cardinals or the Blues Stanley Cup run. I guess I look at this more as, okay, is it the All-Star game in 2009, right? When it was at Busch Stadium. Huge event, right? NHL All-Star game in 2020. I think just the Olympic brand name leads us to say that this should be the biggest event, but I also understand that it's also, do you support the Olympics? Do you watch the Olympics? Do you want to go see the Olympics? And I guess that enticing poll would probably make it the biggest event in the 21st century, in my opinion.
Well, the only thing close would be the, and this wasn't the Olympics, but when Simone Biles and her crew made the Olympics here at the Dome before they went to the Olympics.
Right, yeah, so you have trials that could be, I think just overall, and Carolyn Kindle said this, that the passion for the city of St. Louis is what kind of defines this moment. I agree. If the soccer fans here aren't as passionate about the sport, then the Olympics doesn't come here.
Right. By the way, love the stadium. Fabulous, world-class stadium. Let's start winning some games with the team that plays in the stadium. Yeah. After the Blues dropped the series to Winnipeg in the Stanley Cup playoffs last season, 2025 became a gloomy sort of year. The Cardinals weren't expected to compete. City SC didn't perform well. Then we got excited about the Blues again after the offseason, but we all know how this season is going. Mizzou football had high expectations too, but stayed strictly average or a little above. Then along came SLU basketball out of nowhere. When the city was down on its luck, the Billikens have given sports fans in St. Louis life. How desperately did we need this? We needed something to cling to, something to win for us. And the fact that they're doing it, and they're the only ones in town doing it, was evidenced by the fact that they sold out their last home game. And I think they'll keep selling out. It's a great sports town. All you have to do is show effort, make an effort, and you're going to get the sort of crowds that SLU is getting.
Everybody is a Billikens fan now, and this city was desperate for winning. And I think, you know, everything that you just kind of laid out there is you had some teams that won a little bit. You had a lot of teams that also didn't win at all, but the Billikens are dominating. It feels like you're cheering for the number one team in the country here in St. Louis, and that's just what makes this feel so different. It's the fact that, hey, we were down on our luck, and now it seems like we have a little bit of life again back in the city.
And I've always thought, and I think you kind of agree, that the hardest thing to do in sports, from a team standpoint, is be a college basketball team that goes on the road to win a road 100%. Conference college basketball game. And SLU is not only winning those games, they're winning them big. They're blowing teams out, as they did against Davidson.
Well, and that game was pretty unique, too, because they could have been down 13 at halftime. And that, I don't think they win that game if they don't close on an 8-0 run. They come out in the second half, and they show Davidson who their daddy is in that moment, and then they go on and win.
New York Giants offensive coordinator Matt Nagy steps into New York with a clear mission. He has to develop second-year quarterback Jackson Dart, a longtime assistant under Andy Reid and the former head coach of Andrews Bears. Nagy brings championship experience, but also questions after leading mid-tier Chiefs offenses and failing to crack the top 10 in scoring in the past 3 years. Chosen after John Harbaugh's top target, Todd Monken took the Browns job. Nagy inherits an offense that ranked 13th overall and featured a strong rushing attack powered in part by Dart's 9 rushing touchdowns as a rookie. Did the Giants win the coaching offseason? I think they could have done better than Matt Nagy, but with where they are right now, and John Harbaugh overseeing things, I think that Nagy was probably the best that they could have done under the circumstances.
I think so too, and I think the Giants did win, but I'm going to work my way back through this. So Saleh got Daboll, right? So the Titans got Saleh and Daboll, which is a good offseason for them.
The Giants were not getting Daboll.
Right, and then you have, I'm not sold on Jesse Minter. I'm not sold on Mike McCarthy solo being the win of the offseason. And I guess maybe if you look at the Falcons, Stefanski, and then the Bears, the guy that worked closely with Ryan Poles, which is now their GM, but he's not really a coach. So if we're looking at just coaching in particular, I'd have to give the edge to the Giants here.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. And I have faith in the staff that Jesse Minter is putting together. They bring Anthony Weaver back. He was the defensive coordinator in Miami that had been with John Harbaugh in Baltimore before. They've got an intriguing group there, but yeah, I think that John Harbaugh, with his pedigree, was far and away the best guy that somebody could have gotten this offseason. The baseball Cardinals have added 21 young players, prospects, and picks since last year's trade deadline. That includes Lo Senja, Brandon Clark, Hunter Dobbins, Dick Fitz, Ty Peete, Colton Ledbetter, a couple of picks from Seattle, also Jesus Baez, who came over in the Ryan Helsley trade, Yoker Fajardo, who came in one of the Boston trades, Frank Esso, Mason Molina, Nate Dome, Blaze Jordan came over in the Steven Matz trade from Boston, Skylar Hales. You got international bonus pool money. You got left-hander Andy Garrido and infielder Diego Concepcion, plus Blake Alta and Jack Martinez, who came in the trade for Nolan Arenado from Arizona. This is the new age Cardinals, and not having an all-star on this team isn't a concern to Chaim Bloom because he doesn't want to get caught up in the past glories.
The talent to win and keep winning is everything. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So we want to make sure that we have that and that we're doing that, and that's why we're doing the things that we're doing. But to have somebody who has been an all-star so that we can say we have it, if it's not really pushing us toward our long-term goals, if it's not really giving us a chance to celebrate year in, year out, giving us chances at hanging more banners, I don't think we should be pursuing that at the expense of the goal to win.
Boom. Yeah, don't just have an all-star to have an all-star. You want to build for the future. And if you have a 35-year-old third baseman that happens to be an all-star and a future Hall of Famer, but he's not helping your future, then there's no good reason to have that guy on your team.
And I'll tell you what, they will have an all-star this year. Right? The Cardinals are going to have an all-star on this team. So you just have to wait till mid-season to see that guy. And, of course, if you're looking for a jersey to buy, you want to probably go buy an Ivan Herrera or a J.J. Weatherholt, somebody that's going to be here in St. Louis for a while that you can bet on. Be a gambler in this moment. Bet on this player to be good. Go buy a jersey today and say, this is who I'm going to say is going to turn out to be the next franchise star of the Cardinals.
By the way, I'm a fan of Nolan Arenado, fan of Paul Goldschmidt, fan of Sonny Gray. But I don't think any of those guys were iconic Cardinals like Ozzie Smith was in the 90s. Ozzie is an icon. There's 4 or 5 icons in St. Louis history, right? You've got Stan, you've got Bob, you've got Lou, you've got Ozzie, you've got Yachty, you've got Albert, you've got that group. But you, at least in my lifetime, that's the group that you have. But none of the guys that they have gotten rid of in the last 2 or 3 years, I would consider iconic Cardinals.
Yeah, outside of maybe Brendan Donovan because he came up through the system.
He's not going to the Hall of Fame, though.
Right, yeah, you're right. And to that point, he's not going to be a Hall of Famer, but at least he was a homegrown guy for this team. The point I wanted to make about the other guys you just mentioned, none of those guys were even here long enough to become iconic Cardinals.
Mm-hmm. Right, that's a good point. All right, so let's move on to the word snub. It means rebuff or ignore or spurn disdainfully. Now let's define the word snub in sports. Pete Rose, not in the Hall of Fame. Torrey Holt, not in the Hall of Fame. Ashton Genty, losing out on the Heisman Trophy after his historic season. Those were snubs, although Pete Rose kind of earned his.
Right.
Now let's talk about Robert Kraft not being selected to entry into this year's Pro Football Hall of Fame class. Joining former Patriots coach Bill Belichick, during Kraft's tenure, the Patriots captured 6 Super Bowls, 11 AFC titles, and 22 AFC East Division crowns. He also helped build the Gillette Stadium. He built it himself. And he was attempting to become the 17th owner all time to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Was he snubbed? Well, it depends on perspective. As Vahe Gregorian wrote, one of the players, or one of the voters that didn't vote for Kraft or Belichick for the Hall of Fame, Ken Anderson deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Led the league in passing 4 times. He was an MVP. He was a quarterback in the Super Bowl. L.C. Greenwood was a huge part of the Steel Curtain, one of the sack leaders for the Steelers in the 70s. Roger Craig, first guy ever to have 1,000 yards rushing and receiving, and a part of the 49ers dynasty. I am of the belief, like Vahe is, that those players who were on the ballot with Kraft and Belichick are more deserving of being in the Pro Football Hall of Fame than Kraft or Belichick.
And I'll start with this. The reason Bill Belichick wasn't inducted into the Hall of Fame is because of the cheating that followed his shadows, the baggage that he comes with. All right, so Pat Fitzgerald, I'm going to give an example here real fast. Pat Fitzgerald with Northwestern, he wasn't the guy that was a part of the harassment stuff that happened recently, but he was still fired. Why? Because he was the overseer of the operation. So in this case, Robert Kraft, he might not have physically cheated himself, but he was the overseer of the New England Patriots at the time. So if you're going to say Bill Belichick can't get in because of those reasons, the same have to be said for Robert Kraft.
When we had the Enron oil scandal in the 2000s, the CEO, who probably didn't know anything about it, was the guy in charge, and he took a fall, right? You're exactly right. If you're in charge, you have to be responsible for everything that happens in your building. All right, those are your quick hits here in the fight. Later in the show, we're going to have some risky business. We're going to build a parlay. But coming up next here on Matrix Midwest, we've got the fight. Hey, we are at that time of year where I had my heart bypass in 2012. I was feeling a little pain in my chest, a little burning sensation in my chest, and I'd already had a stent put in once, and I went to my cardiologist at St. Luke's and said, look, I'm just feeling a burning in my chest. He said, I don't think that it's a big deal. Let's go to the Super Bowl, which I did. He said, take it easy, don't do anything crazy, and then come back and we'll do a stress test. Well, I went to St. Luke's to do a stress test, and the people there are so caring, and they know that you're concerned and worried when you hop on that treadmill to do a stress test. And an irregularity was found in my heart, and they had to do a quadruple bypass on me. My point here is that if you do have any unnatural feelings in your chest, whether it's burning or maybe you have a pain in your shoulder, and it's one of those symptoms that you always hear about for a heart, go to St. Luke's and see a doctor and make sure that you're okay. The likelihood is that you're going to be okay, but I ran into a guy when I was doing rehab after my surgery, and I always tell the story about how St. Luke saved my life, and he comes up to me after I had told my story on the radio. He said, hey, are you Randy Carricker? I said, yeah. He said, hey, I just want you to know that you saved my life. I wouldn't be here today if you would not have told that story on the air about how you went to St. Luke's to get your heart checked. He said, I wasn't going to do that, but I did, and they found out that I was in a near-death situation, and he had the same thing I had, the quadruple bypass. So don't take anything for granted. Get in touch with my friends at St. Luke's if you have any issues whatsoever, any pain whatsoever in your heart. 314-205-6801 is the number, 314-205-6801, on the web at stlukes-stl.com.
Welcome to The Fight. In one corner, standing by or sitting by in the green room, we have Megamind, the Sultan of Smarts, Randy Carricker, everybody.
Hey, Andrew, good to be here and good to have another fight on the horizon here.
Yeah, no, it's great to see you. 19 weeks are what we are going for. 19-week winning streak, so he's won 18 in a row. Favorite 19 in all of sports, Randy?
It's got to be because I hate Steve Eiserman, right? It's got to be Johnny Unitas, Johnny U.
Yeah, smart man, smart man. Okay.
Although John Jay was a pretty good.
And that was my favorite. He would have been my choice there. I actually wore 19 when I played high school soccer, so I know you're a big high school soccer fan.
Huge.
You would have chosen me.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, my man. At least way to make my head feel a little bit bigger than it already is. All right, let's welcome in the challenger. In the opposite corner, whether he's mowing the lawn in the summer or driving to work, he watches us every day. Ben, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me. Yes, never miss a show. I love it. Keep it up.
Ben. Appreciate it.
All right, Randy, now go away. I just want to talk to Ben.
Okay.
I want to hang out with Ben. because just look at the backdrop right now. That's another reason why I really want to hang
You
out
two are
with
invited over anytime. You just say the
All
word.
right. I love that. Let's get Ben and I ISO'd on the screen here, and we will go through the questions. 4 questions here, Ben. You know the drill, and we'll have a tiebreaker just in case. You ready?
I'll give it my best. I'm hoping for one of these, so let's go for it.
And I'm hoping you get all 4. Put the pressure on. Question.
Oh, that would be just dandy, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
it would be. Question number 1. Who holds the record for fastest player to reach 300 home runs in his career? Is it Aaron Judge, Ryan Howard, or Juan Gonzalez?
I'm going to go with Aaron Judge on this one.
Question number 2. What is the only city to host both the Summer and Winter Olympics? Is it Paris, Munich, or Beijing?
I'll go with Beijing.
Question number 3. Who caught Tom Brady's final Super Bowl touchdown pass in Super Bowl 55? Was it Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, or Rob Gronkowski?
Gosh, I want to say Gronk, but I'm going to say Mike Evans.
And question number 4. Who is the most decorated American Winter Olympian of all time? Is it Apollo Ono, Shaun White, or Bonnie Blair?
I'm going to go with just the one I know, Shaun White.
And the tiebreaker, just in case, Devin Hester made 3 returns in Super Bowl 41. 1 kickoff, 2 punts. How many return yards did he end up with that night?
2 punt returns and 1 kickoff. I'm sure Randy's going to have like, well, he ran this one here and he ran this one here, so do the math and it's going to be this perfect number. I'm going to go with 123.
123. Thank you, Ben. All right, as Tyler messages Randy to put his earpiece back in, how are you feeling now that you've gotten a taste for the questions?
Not awful. I think it's relatively, I think I might get one. Like I went in with my really high expectations, so we'll see what happens.
I love it. You know what? If you set the bar low, you can only supersede expectations, right?
Only go higher.
All right. Randy, can you hear us again?
I can hear you again.
All righty. You ready to do it?
Ready.
All right, question number 1. Who holds the record for fastest player to reach 300 home runs in his career?
I believe that's also the guy who holds the rookie home run record. I believe that would be one Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees.
Question number 2. What is the only city to host both the Summer and Winter Olympics?
I think it's Beijing. They've done it here in the last 08, and then they did it like within the last 8 years or so. I think I'm going to go with Beijing, China.
Question number 3. Who caught Tom Brady's final Super Bowl touchdown pass in Super Bowl 55?
Super Bowl 55, that would have been the Tampa Bay win over the Chiefs. Well, Mike Evans was there. Excuse me.
He's getting choked up. He loves Tom Brady so much.
Yeah. Evans, I guess Godwin was there. I remember they had Scotty Miller bouncing around. So I'll just go with Evans.
And question number 4. Who is the most decorated American Winter Olympian of all time?
Since I have the lifeline here, I will use it.
Is it Apollo Ono, Shaun White, or Bonnie Blair?
I'm pretty sure it's not Shaun White. So I'm going to go with Apollo or Bonnie. Bonnie from Champaign, Illinois, by the way. Great speed skater. Was in multiple Olympics. But I am going to go with, I don't know, Apollo was only short track. So I'll go with Bonnie.
And the tiebreaker, Randy, just in case.
Okay.
So Devin Hester made 3 returns in Super Bowl 41. One was a kickoff. He also had 2 punt returns.
Okay.
How many return yards did he end up with that night?
Okay, the kickoff return was 95 yards, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to guess that he went for an average of 20 yards on his 2 punt returns. So 05, 15, I'm going to go with 135. I'll go 136 just for fun.
136. Did that math right? Based on what you just said?
95, 05, 15, 25, 35. Yeah. So, yeah.
I just want to make sure that we mathed that right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go back through the answers and see who our winner is today. Question number 1 was, who holds the record for fastest player to reach 300 home runs in his career? You both said Aaron Judge. You both are correct. Question number 2. What is the only city to host both the Summer and Winter Olympics? You both said Beijing, and you both are correct. So tied up at 2 apiece. We go to question 3. Who caught Tom Brady's final Super Bowl touchdown pass in Super Bowl 55? You both said Mike Evans. The answer, though, Antonio Brown.
Oh, wow.
A.B. caught a 1-yard touchdown pass, and Rob Gronkowski caught 2 in that game as well. And then question number 4, still tied at 2 apiece. Who is the most decorated Winter Olympian of all time? Ben, you went with Shaun White. Randy, you went with Bonnie Blair. The answer, though, oh no, Apollo Ono. So we go to the tiebreaker, tied at 2 apiece. And that tiebreaker question was, Devin Hester made 3 returns in Super Bowl 41. 1 kickoff, 2 punts. How many return yards did he end up with that night? I have to touch base with Tyler here. Ben said 123, right, Tyler? 123. Randy said 135, 136?
136.
All right, guys, the answer is 119. Ben steals the belt away today and shuts down Randy's winning streak. I can't believe it, Ben. You had no hope in yourself, and you killed it today.
Great job, Ben. That was awesome.
I had 0 hope. And Randy, you would have been so impressed. I'm like, you know what? 3 returns. I'm just going to average these out and go with like 40, but it's going to be something weird. So I could have just gone 120 and been even closer.
Yeah, good play. Really good play.
Well
Awesome.
done by
Good job.
you, Ben. You take the belt away from Randy, and that
Sorry,
stops
Randy,
a
I broke your streak, man.
19-week winning streak. Holy cow. Ben, any last words now that you're a winner?
I'm in shock. My hands were sweating after I got 2 right. I'm like, I might have a real chance at this. So if I could show you my clammy hands, they'd probably glisten on the screen. But wow, I'm in shock. I beat Megamind. I can't believe it.
Awesome. Good job.
Well, Ben, you know what? We'll have to have you back again to try to hold on to your own streak, or maybe create a streak of your own. And we'll see if Randy can come back for vengeance. That sound good?
Let's do it.
All right, Ben, congratulations. You are the winner of the fight today. Randy, great job as always. You put up your best battle, and that is the fight.
And if you would like to participate in the fight, just go to matrixmidwest.com and fill out the form, and we'll get in touch with you, and hopefully you'll be able to play against me. Just go to the drop-down menu, go to the fight with Carricker and Company, and then participate in the fight. We recorded about noon on Tuesdays, and obviously air this on Wednesday at 5 p.m. and 10 p.m., Thursday morning at 7 p.m. All right, a little bit more. In dealing Brendan Donovan to Seattle, the Cardinals got back not only Lowe, that's his nickname, Sanja. It's Gerangelo, but his teammates and friends call him Lowe, and Ty Pete and Ledbetter, but also the numbers 68 and 72 picks in July's draft. Cardinals now have picks 13, 32, 50, 68, 72, and 86, through which they hope they'll be able to fill their minor league system even more with prospects. Having 6 of the first 86 picks is similar to what Chaim Bloom had when he went through that whole situation with the Tampa Bay Rays in 2011. He had 12 of the first 89, and in that draft, he took 2-time Cy Young Award winner Blake Snell, although he did admit, he said, yeah, but what about the other 11?
He's a funny guy.
He is. But this is where the Cardinals are going to be able to succeed. They need to be able to draft well, to evaluate young talent. We had Rob Cerfolio on the show during the week, and this is what they're going to be all about, is finding good players to draft and then developing them. And the more picks you have, the better chance you're going to have to get a great player.
And that's the big thing. The proof is in the pudding. If you have a statistical better chance of finding a good player with 12 picks versus finding a player with 2 picks, it's better for the Cardinals where they are today to put themselves in position to strike gold maybe 2 or 3 times rather than just 1 time. And we know baseball's a hard game. There are first-round picks all the time that never make it to the league. All the time. So you have to position yourself accordingly here. And what Chaim Bloom and this organization is doing now, they're saying, okay, we don't care about what is going to happen next year or the year to follow, but what we need to do is create sustained success back in this organization so that the Cardinals are competing every year for the NL Central again.
And I mentioned to Rob Cerfolio the streak the Cardinals had in the early 80s under Whitey Herzog, where they brought up an impact player every year. And he said, yeah, that's great. But in Cleveland in 2022, they had 17 rookies. And that's what he wants. He says, I want to bring up a bunch of impact kids and have them be winning players and have us succeed because we're able to bring up not only high quality, but high quantity as well.
Well, and think about the trade they just made with Seattle. Seattle is a homegrown team through and through. Mm-hmm. They developed Julio Rodriguez. Yep. They developed Cal Raleigh. They got all those great pitchers, and now the Cardinals have a little taste of what that Seattle pitching can do for your team. But you have to do that in order to put yourself in a World Series spot again when you don't have the money the Dodgers have, the Yankees have, the Mets have, and so forth.
And especially with the pitching. You can never have enough pitching. Mm-hmm. No coincidence that when the Cardinals traded Contreras, when the Cardinals traded Gray, when the Cardinals traded Arenado, when the Cardinals traded Donovan, they got pitchers back in every single one of those deals. Now, one of the reasons for that is that they have position players, young position players, throughout their major league lineup. But they also feel like, okay, we can go out and sign an Emmanuel Luna. That was the international signing from last week. And in a few years, he'll be ready. They feel like they have position players in their system already, but the big thing is, it's aside from getting a right-handed power hitter, it's easier to find position players than it is to find pitchers.
And that it goes back to the point we made right off the rip. When you have other position players in the system, that can also be kind of your fallback option. If this guy doesn't work out, then you will have 6 or 7 guys that you said, hey, 2 of these guys are elite. These other 5 guys are really good, and now we can go trade for a Brendan Donovan just like Seattle did, or we can go get that veteran that might be on the tail end of his career with this organization so that he can slot right in over at third base and be a productive bat for you there too.
Like when the Cardinals got Scott Rowland, right?
Perfect
and
example.
Placido Polanco was a great player, but they wanted a veteran, they wanted an all-star, they wanted an impact guy, and that's what Rowland was when they made that deal with Philadelphia. And that's what you're talking about. Okay, I've got a really good group of players, but I need a great player to intersperse with them, and you use those kids to go out and get that player. I want to touch on one other thing here, and that is teaching these kids how to play, because one of the problems the Cardinals had in the previous iteration of the farm system was Jordan Walker wasn't taught how to play baseball. He was a good hitter, but he was kind of thrown into the pool and said, okay, go swim. Same thing with Gorman. Not a lot of teaching going on. Same thing with Ivan Herrera. And I think Chaim was alluding to that when he said he wasn't put in the best position to become great in the Cardinal organization the way they were. It's really important to not rush players. And this is another thing that Rob Cerfolio and Larry Day and the group of minor league instructors and leaders want to make sure that they have is teaching. They want to make sure that when a player gets to the major league level, that he's ready to be here and isn't going to make foolish baseball mistakes.
And I think that's why the Cardinals also went the direction of Chaim Bloom versus maybe somebody from the Mosaic tree that was already in this system. If they want a good CEO, they made Chaim Bloom said CEO, and they want a good hierarchy to fall off of that, but they wanted it to be different. Chaim Bloom has shown you in this short amount of time that he started it. And now it's up to these coaches that Chaim also said, these are the guys for spring training and so forth down the list. You buy into Ali Marmol for another season. These are the right people now to develop the guys. I got you here. I got you the prospects. I got you the people. Now it's your turn to develop.
Last year at this time, the Boston Red Sox, Chaim Bloom's former team, had the #1 farm system in all of baseball. And the overwhelming majority of the top 10 in that system were acquired under the watch of Chaim Bloom. So he's done it before, and the Cardinals hope that he can do it again sooner rather than later. Coming up in the list, our favorite Super Bowls ever. That's next here in The Fight. With Super Bowl 60 only a few days away, we give you the list of our favorite Super Bowl games ever. And Andrew, I'm going to start with number 3. And we had this one yesterday and today in sports history, but I don't get tired of it. The Patriots, 18-0, coming in a heavy favorite against a Giants team that lost their last 2 of 3 down the stretch of the regular season and had to win 3 road games to make it to the Super Bowl. A 14-10 game late in the 4th. This was a Patriots team that had averaged 36.8 points a game. They're at 14 right now. How about this? How about Eli Manning getting away from this pass rush? How about Eli Manning getting the pass off? How about David Tyree, who may have had the worst practice ever in the Friday before the Super Bowl, making this catch? Joe Buck on the call. Let's watch this play again because it's really one of the most unbelievable plays, not only in Super Bowl history, but in league history. The fact that Manning was able to get away, and then the fact that Tyree was able to go up, get it against Rodney Harrison, who didn't take his knee out, and make the catch on the top of his helmet, thus the name of the play, the helmet catch. Now watch Eli too. Eli, not the most athletic guy in the world, but he's able to get away, and bing, bang, and boom, there is the helmet catch. Okay, so we've got that. 1:15 to go. Giants now have the ball after this catch at their own, or at the 24-yard line of the Patriots, okay? This is one of the most unbelievable plays ever. It's at the 24-yard line. Eli to Plaxico Burress, and we get the game-winning touchdown here. Burress, for whatever reason, gets unbelievably open for the game-winning catch, and Eli becomes an MVP, like his brother in the Super Bowl. I don't think the people in New England still have gotten over this, even though they won 6 Super Bowls. There you go. Plaxico Burress, thank you for saving America. The Patriots finished 18-1, lose their last game. They thought they had the best team in history. They thought they had the best offense in history. Nope, they didn't. That still belongs to the greatest show on turf. And congratulations to the Giants. By the way, they did it again 4 years later.
And that cornerback left his ankles on the 7-yard line. I don't know if you saw that.
Ellis Hobbs, yep.
Yes, that was a huge moment in this game because Eli Manning could easily been sacked. It would have been 4th and 12, 4th and 13, and now it becomes true desperation. But even that throw was pretty desperate. And so everything that kind of led up to it was like momentum was swinging toward the Giants, and then they capped it off with that touchdown. I'm happy that you put that on this list.
I got to tell you, I had for just until the last few years, had a Giants cap and a Giants champions t-shirt.
Of course you did. All right, a shirt that I don't have and a hat I wish I had. The 1985 Chicago Bears would be my number 1 if I had actually witnessed their dominance. Instead, they're my number 3 because the only thing about that team I can truly know or understand is what I dig up or study. So, this team, let's talk about them for a moment, wasn't just one of the best Super Bowl winners ever. They were one of the most dominant teams in NFL history. So, their defense allowed 198 points all season long. That's pretty good. They led the league in yards allowed and takeaways, and then slammed the door completely in the playoffs. Back-to-back shutouts. They outscored the Giants and Rams 45-0. By the time they reached Super Bowl, they were already historic.
Super Bowl 20.
Yeah, 20. Thank you very much. Super Bowl 20 there. And then they finished the job by dropping 46 points on the Patriots and winning by 36. Both Super Bowl records, by the way. It was Chicago's first title since 1963, and the kind of season so overwhelming, it's still compared to the undefeated 72 Dolphins. In 2007, the 85 Bears were ranked as the 2nd greatest Super Bowl championship team on the NFL Network series, America's Game, the Super Bowl champions. That's why the 85 Bears weren't just great, they were one for the history books, and obviously I don't know history too well because Roman numerals are not my thing.
Well, that's okay. That was the first Super Bowl I ever went to. Best defense I've ever seen for one season. And a couple of things about that team that you couldn't have now. Number one, the level of swagger that team had. After their only loss of the season, Monday Night Football at Miami, they come home. The next morning, they record the Super Bowl shuffle. We are the Bears shuffling crew. They just had swagger. The other thing is, and this was bad, but after a road game where primetime game, Mike Ditka gets pulled over and apparently gets a DWI. And the quarterback, Jim McMahon, sees him pulled over, knows his car, sees him outside, and McMahon just honks and waves, said, hey, buddy, how you doing? And then you had basically separate coaches because the defense, when Ditka got hired, sent a letter to the owner, George Halas, and said, hey, we don't mind getting a new head coach, but we want Buddy Ryan to be our defensive coordinator. So George Halas told Ditka, you got to keep Buddy Ryan. So Ditka was the head coach of the offense and the special teams. Ryan was the head coach of the defense. And then the other thing that couldn't happen now, that team, their goal every single week was to knock out the opposing team's quarterback.
Right.
They basically had a bounty program, and they were pretty successful, and they even did it in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they made it so that you didn't want to be the quarterback on the other team.
Yeah. All right, my number 2, and 1987 was a strike season. The movie The Replacements was based on the champion 1987 Washington Redskins. John Elway was in his 4th season with Denver. Doug Williams had been cast off by Tampa Bay, and for Washington, he was the first black quarterback in the Super Bowl, and he was great.
Offensive play at the second quarter ignited the most stunning 15 minutes of football in NFL history.
The Washington Redskins offense is back on the football field, and so is number 17, Doug Williams. Play action fake. Williams going up top. Got Sanders on the fly at midfield. He's gone. Unless they can
Okay, I want you to count these. This is 1, okay?
All right, I'll keep them tallied on my left
You got it.
hand.
Ricky Sanders, 80 yards.
In what quarter are we in, Randy?
Oh, we're in the second quarter.
Okay.
Light it up, and they're back in this game. Yes, sir.
Dexter Manley, defensive end.
Coming back. We're going to do it.
All right,
Obviously, they're going to pass.
still going the same direction here.
The pass, lobs it up. He's got Clark at the goal line. He's got it. Touchdown.
Okay, he found colored turf.
Okay, yep. Oh, that big hair is sad. Oh, Timmy Smith,
Off to Smith, and he's back. Good
first
ball.
NFL start in the Super Bowl.
Well, there's no way he goes all the way here. 22's chasing him down.
No.
Oh, never mind. So what's that,
Oh,
3?
look, those guys are bewildered, the offense for the Broncos. That's 3, yep. We aren't done yet, though. Oh, let's see Ricky Sanders again, shall we?
Oh, boy.
This is from the 50.
Virtuoso performance. Action fake this time. Faked out everybody. He's got Sanders in the clear at the 10. Touchdown, Washington.
The Broncos even playing defense?
No, they're not.
Super Bowl record. 4.
All right, well, 4. That's got to be.
Oh, you
that's
think?
Got to be it.
You
right?
think that'd be the record?
It's got to be. Well, it's yeah. It was. If it was a record here, they got to be done, right?
Well, Clint Didier. You don't have one yet.
Oh no. We're talking about a handful now, Randy.
Yeah, now listen, because this is
The
cool.
Redskins scored 35 points on 5 straight possessions, and by the end of this unbelievable second quarter, everyone in the stadium had memorized the words to hail to the Redskins.
Fight for old DC. Washington won 42-10. That crowd, at least the Redskins fans, had a ton of fun. Joe Gibbs, who won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different non-Hall of Fame quarterbacks, won this one. He was the best coach of all time. By the way, one of the reasons I like that team so much is because Joe Gibbs was a running backs coach for Don Coryell here in St. Louis with the football Cardinals. And he brought a bunch of his fellow assistants in St. Louis, Emmett Thomas, his defensive backs coach, Wayne Sevier, his special teams coach, brought a bunch of guys to Washington with him. So there was a definite St. Louis tie to that Washington team that won the championship, and that was fun. If we hit the right thing, maybe we can even fix story time with Uncle Randy. I got one other story about that Super Bowl week.
35 in 1 quarter.
Yeah, 5 touchdown passes for Doug
5
Williams.
straight possessions.
Yep.
Did everybody gloss over that? Because I didn't.
Yep, 19 plays, 5 touchdowns.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 2. The Saints Super Bowl. All right, now don't tell me here, Randy. We got, that would be 10 plus, what is L, 50?
I would say that would be, 54.
54. See, there you go.
Yep.
See, look, I'm learning. This is
Oh, no,
really
it's not.
bad.
Tyler, what do we have here?
What is XLIV? Somebody help me out. Is he not even
Yeah,
Tyler knows?
something-
We're not very
Yeah,
good at
no,
this.
we aren't.
All right, it's the Saints Super Bowl, and they won over the Colts, and it's one of the most underrated championship performances ever
44.
because it was about far more than the final score. And the city's still healing from Hurricane Katrina. That 2019 became a symbol of resilience. They raced to a 13-0 start and carried the emotional weight of New Orleans with them all season. And the game itself turned on one of the boldest calls in Super Bowl history. Down 10-6, the gambler, not Kenny Rogers, but Sean Payton, pulled a surprise onside kick to open the second half, which was the moment in the game that swung the final score. I'm convinced of that because Drew Brees got right after that moment. He had a strong second half and captured the championship that validated his greatness. The defense adjusted to Peyton Manning and sealed it with Tracy Porter's iconic interception for a touchdown, and it was just a powerful payoff for the city of New Orleans.
And you know what's interesting about this one is that the first thing I thought of when the NFL changed the onside kick rules so that you can only do onside kicks when you're behind in the fourth quarter, and you have to declare, do the Saints win this Super Bowl if those rules are in place?
Nope.
And so I think it's unfair, some of the strategy that the league has taken away from coaches in this situation.
I think so, too, because that element of surprise was everything. No one expected them down 10-6 to give even the Colts that type of field position if they recovered it. And so Sean Payton really took a page out of one of the best gamblers ever in Vegas's playbook and said, no, I got to take a chance here, a risk, and it paid off.
All right. My number one is going to be pretty obvious, right? 1999 playoffs, the St. Louis Rams, after getting a scare in the NFC Championship game against Tampa. We didn't expect the greatest show on turf to be challenged again, but they were. Tennessee goes on a long game-tying drive to score just before the 2-minute warning. It's 16-16. But the most impactful touchdown in St. Louis NFL history is right here. Twins right, ace right, 999 H balloon. Kurt Warner is going to throw it to Isaac Bruce for the touchdown. And then after this touchdown by Tennessee, the Rams are able to take the lead. And here you go. It's 73 yards. It's Warner to Bruce, and I still get chills. And I love the fact that Isaac was looking up at the sky, and he said up at the board. He said he's looking behind him, and he see the way he put it. He said, I see 76's big paw up in the air because he knew he had scored. And the Rams lead at 23-16. But back come the Titans, Steve McNair with an unbelievable drive. And then last play of the game, and there is Mike Jones, number 52, with the tackle of Kevin Dyson. And the Rams win 23-16 in Super Bowl 34. It'll be the only Super Bowl championship that St. Louis will ever have. And oh, by the way, on 4, our new streaming channel, our friend Laura Hediger is going to have Mike Jones as her guest tomorrow from 11:30 to 12:30. So you want to check that out. That is on Thursday. You'll be able to hear from Mike the Tackle Jones.
That is awesome. And you mentioned getting chills, still seeing Torrey Holt's clip. There's moments like that in my sports fandom that does that for me. But for somebody like you who is a true football fan through and through, you had to lose the Cardinals and then you got to see that moment from the Rams. It was amazing.
All right, let's get yours taken care of here.
Quickly here, let's go to Super Bowl 52. I know this one will always be personal to me because the Eagles beat the Patriots on my 21st birthday, Randy, and it was based on one of the most iconic and influential plays, and that is the Philly special. Philadelphia entered as underdogs. Wentz was not their quarterback, even though he had an MVP season. No, it was Nick Foles, who ended up winning Super Bowl MVP because of the numbers he put up, and this is the Philly special, that you have a wide receiver throw a touchdown pass to Nick Foles before halftime, and then, of course, as we know it, the Eagles just outscored the Patriots all the way down the stretch of this game. There was like 70 points scored. You love that in a Super Bowl, and this really was an iconic moment too because it wasn't one of the most watched ones because of all the controversy going on in the U.S. at the time. But good on the Eagles to also take down the Patriots.
Yeah, thank you, Eagles. We do appreciate you. All right, that is the list here on The Fight, and coming up next, we're going to build a parlay for you here on Matrix Midwest. Novelty props. All right, time for us to build a parlay, and as you know, we've been getting ready for Super Bowl 60 all week long, and I've got my fastest ball carrier, and this is easy. I think Rashid Shaheed is going to be the guy. He's going to be the fastest guy with next-gen stats in this game.
That's right here. You have to switch over from general novelty to next-gen stats. He can absolutely cook on kickoff returns. And actually, if he gets out wide, one-on-one, Okay, let's do this one. Jersey number of first touchdown scorer. If you think it's going to be Jackson Smith and Jigba, you better bet the over. If you think it's going to be Kenneth Walker, which I do, you should bet the under. And I like the value of the underplay there as
plus
well.
120. I like that a lot.
Nothing wrong with that.
So there you have it. Let's see how much we can win.
Well, we got to bet them individually as always. So this one
plus
is not nice to me. So this is going to be a $12 win on a $10 bet, $120. And then also yours is $130. We'll win $130 if you put $100 down.
All right, so there you go. Coming up, we've got story time with Uncle Randy here in The Fight. Story time with Uncle Randy, and we've got a decade for you. We've got the 2010s, and we're going to pick a sport for you. And here we go.
All right, recent Randy.
2010s baseball.
I think it's stopping there.
Okay, I like this. Okay, so I've got a little thing for you, and it'll be quick, okay?
Hit me
So
with
the
it.
Cardinals make the playoffs a ton in the early part of the decade under Mike Matheny. And through 2015, they make the playoffs every year. 2016, they lose in game number 162. 2017, they lose in game number 161. In 2018, they lost in game number 158. And then in 19, they made the playoffs. And so they went from basically 2010 through 2019, and then 20 they didn't. But they had a stretch there where over the course of 15 seasons, they played that 159, 60, 61, 62, and then another year where they had one game. They had 5 games in a stretch of 15 seasons that didn't have playoff implications.
Wow.
5 regular season games.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So amazing, isn't it?
It really is.
How good they were and how competitive they were on a regular basis. You know, we talk about them not making the playoffs, but man, they were close. And so, so from basically the end of the 2010 season until the start of the 2020 season, they had all those times with, they only missed the playoffs, had 4 games like that. All right, time for this date in sports history. And on this date in 1969, John Madden takes charge as head coach of the Oakland Raiders at age 32. His approach to football strategy, along with his later role as a broadcaster, turned him into a household name, influencing how fans talk about the game itself. He was a terrific coach, and he retired at a very young age. He was not even 50 when he retired and became a broadcaster. And it was on this date in 1969 that John Madden took over the Raiders, won the Super Bowl over the Vikings in 1977.
You said the word terrific to describe him. If you are the cover of a video game for years and years and years, you had to be a pretty special person and figure in the sport, and that's what he was as coach and broadcaster, like you said.
Yeah, he was just a great football coach, and the timing was perfect for him to be the head coach of the Raiders. He really defined what the Raiders are, and we miss him all the time, and so does the NFL.
I was going to say, so do the Raiders, right?
Yeah, right. You can always find us on Matrix Midwest, 5 p.m., 10 p.m., and then again at 7 the next morning. We're also on the Matrix Midwest app and the KMOV app. And if you use that, you can just listen in your car. Just put us on Bluetooth, and if you're going to work or driving around, you can listen to the fight there. And we're on your favorite podcast platform as well. And hey, I'm a loser in the fight, so what you need to do is sign up to participate in the fight. Go to matrixmidwest.com, character and company in the drop-down menu, and sign up.
You're not a loser, you're human.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate
because you
that.
lost. Everybody has to lose at some point in time.
I don't want to be human.
Just ask the Patriots.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, sir.
That is Andrew. I'm Randy. Thanks for tuning in. For Director Tyler Klaus, we will see you next time in the fight. So long, everybody.